The thing is, though, Pete, is, a cookbook for parents to feed kids couldn't have come at a more important time. I mean, the children of this planet are our future, and the rates of disease and illness and autism and everything you know about is just unfucking believably, devastatingly high. I mean, we've got a world full of children suffering the diseases of geriatric people, of the 70-year-olds of the planet.
Yep.
And it's like we have gotten so far from just a natural understanding of our relationship to food and to the spirits of the food and to the planet. And there's a concept that I want to share with you because I think it might be useful to you in the future. I think it's important for people on the podcast to hear, and this is kind of how my soul speaks to me, but I'm going to preface it by sharing how I teach the difference between spirit and soul to my students. So what I do is I get a shaman's drum and I hit the drum and I say to them, you've all hit a drum like this before, haven't you? And of course they say yes. I say, okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to perceive that the skin of the drum and the body of the drum is your soul. It's what's having the experience of being played. When you make music with the drum, it feels the vibration, it lives it out. It's the spirit that is moving your arm and giving you the rhythm and the beat that can bring you into a state of harmony, joy, or celebration, or give you the frequency that will help bring someone's body and chakra systems and energy fields back into harmony. But if a real shaman empties the bone, connects to spirit and says, how can I support this person? And spirit begins to move the drumstick. So spirit moves the stick, but the drum skin is the membrane between the implicate world of spirit, the invisible, immeasurable realm of spirit, where our highest self and our soul and all souls really live, and the physical, where we experience life as soul. So now if you take that analogy, instead of a drum, we've got food. Food is the spiritual membrane where we connect to the earth, where we connect to the sun, the stars, the moon, the water, the elementals, the fairy kingdom, and all of these beautiful things that go into the souls of this food. And so when we eat food consciously and bring it into our body, just like when we bring mushrooms into our body, we know the spirit is going to come upon us, or we drink alcohol and we know the spirits are coming into us. When you really are conscious and you eat a beautiful fresh carrot out of the garden, there's an experience, and it's different than eating a squash or a tomato, because it's a different level of consciousness, a different vibration, a different color, a different shape or geometry, and a different spirit. And so I think one of the things that's missing is food or eating as a spiritual practice where you really honor and worship the beauty and the harmony. The fact that, look, it takes the whole universe to produce food. The sun couldn't be here without the galaxy couldn't be here without the universe, the earth couldn't make food without the moon to regulate the tides, the elements of earth, water, fire, and air, the sun to give light, and the logos of the sun, the intelligence, the plan to unfold on the earth, without all the other beings that are involved, which is a myriad of them, from the soil to the stars. Like, all that is concentrated in a peach or an apple or a chicken's body. And so the metaphor that I'm giving is just the way the drum skin is the membrane where spirit meets enough resistance to create vibration. Food is also a membrane where spirit manifests its creativity and gives us the gifts that allow it to live and transform and become human. To the degree that we're open, we can let the wisdom of the carrots and the birds and the bees and the flowers of the tree speak through us, because that's ultimately what we're made out of anyhow. And so I just think that I just wanted to share with everybody that if you see food as the membrane between the invisible spirit and the visible manifestations of spirit, and you engage that consciously, then you can pay attention to that each food is a form of intelligence, and it's living information, it's energy, it's frequency, it's information, And when we eat the right energy, frequency, and information to support our body, then we gain the wisdom and the intelligence. And we realize, wow, turmeric does some magic things when your body's swollen. And boy, this acerola cherry really is supportive. I haven't had a cold in 2 years since I've been started. So you learn all these little beautiful spirits and how they come to get involved in the party and join the dance. And I think if we really celebrated the farmers that produce free-range, organic, biodynamic type foods, and that they're caring for the soil and caring for the animals, and realized what a sacred practice that is. If you study, biodynamic farming and Steiner's teachings, you realize how sacred and deeply spiritual it is. So anyhow, that's my 2 cents on that membrane concept.
I love it. If we could think about food as exactly as you said, it would definitely change our relationship with that. And then we bring in the beauty or the art and the craft of our ancient ancestors and their trial and error over millennia of using these beautiful ingredients, having these relationships with them, whether it's in Thailand or South America or Russia, United States, Australia, and how they have used these different ingredients in these beautiful marriages to create such a symphony of flavors that are so delicious. You look at places like India where they do these spice blends. You mentioned turmeric before. They mix fenugreek, cumin, the list goes on and on and on, ginger, garlic. And it might be 20 or 30 ingredients, but they've worked out these beautiful ratios to make the most intoxicating curry paste, which then turns into a curry. And they might do it with wild goat, And if you've ever had goat curry prepared really well, or a Jamaican goat curry, wow. And you sit in reverence and think about how long were they tinkering with these recipes? And how long have they been handed down from generation to generation? And then, as I was saying before, with my focus on Instagram and the chefs that I follow from around the world, what else is new is being discovered in this day and age? Because we can use all of these ingredients in so many different manipulations or recipes, if you like to call it. And I've stated this before, we could, if we chose to, with all the ingredients that are available to us, the spices, the herbs, the different animals, the different plants that we have access to, we could live for the rest of our lives and never eat the same dish twice.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Think about that. That's pretty wild that we could have such variety in our life to go on this culinary adventure, and think about what that would do for our spirit, soul, our taste buds, how they would develop, and how we would become a master or masters of taste.
Well, not only that, variety is stability. And when I was writing my book, How to Eat, Move, and Be Healthy, I started writing it in 2000. I came across a research paper that was quite shocking. It was a study of how many different foods people eat, and it found that the average person in a large cross-sectional study, they basically concluded the average person in the United States only eats 10 to 12 foods their entire lifetime.
Wow.
Which is unfrickin' believably dangerous.
Yeah.
For a billion reasons, but wow, crazy stuff. So